The night was colder than Jace had ever felt. Even inside his small metal cabin, the wind outside howled like hungry beasts. Snow hit the windows again and again. Jace sat near the heater, drinking a cup of hot tea. His cabin was at the edge of the wastelands, far from any human city. He liked the quiet. No noise, no people, no problems. Only machines, tools, and the frozen sky. But then knock. Knock, Jace froze. Who could that be, at this hour? In this weather? Slowly, he placed his cup down and grabbed the old rifle hanging by the door. His boots crunched on the metal floor as he stepped closer. Another knock, softer this time. Like whoever was outside was losing strength. He opened the small window on the door and looked out. What he saw made him lower the rifle in surprise. A girl, not human. She had silvery skin, glowing faint purple eyes, and small ridges on her forehead, like an alien mark. Her clothes were torn, thin cloth wrapped around her body, not enough for this cold. Jace frowned. Her lips moved. He couldn't hear the words through the window, but she looked desperate. Jace unlocked the door slowly and pulled it open. Just a little. The girl almost fell forward. Her voice was weak but clear now. Trade ... warmth ... for food ... Jace's heart tensed. He had seen things in this wasteland. Slavers, traps, bounty hunters pretending to be weak. But this girl didn't look like a hunter. She looked like she'd die if he left her outside another minute. Still holding his rifle, Jace stepped aside and opened the door fully. Get in. The alien girl stepped inside, almost falling again. Jace caught her by the arm. Her skin felt ice cold, almost like metal. She didn't even thank him. She dropped to her knees near the heater, shivering so hard her teeth clicked. Jace shut the door quickly and locked it. Then he walked over and threw a blanket around her thin shoulders. She grabbed it tightly, her whole body shaking under it. Her fingers were thin and long, tipped with faint purple claws. Jace squatted next to her. What's your name? Silence. She looked up at him slowly. Her purple eyes glowed faintly even in the dark. Rilke, she whispered. Jace frowned. That name didn't sound like any race he knew. Where did you come from? He asked. Ran ... away ... Her voice was almost too quiet to hear. Jace noticed something else now. Around her neck, under the blanket, there was a metal collar. It had glowing lines running across it. What is that? He asked, pointing. Rilke grabbed the blanket tighter, covering it. She didn't answer. Jace stared at her for a long moment. The collar didn't look like jewelry. It looked like a control device. But he didn't push her for answers. Not yet. He stood up and walked to the kitchen. He heated some soup, pouring it into a small bowl. Then he brought it to her. Eat, Rilke. Took it with both hands, her claws clicking against the bowl's metal. Slowly, carefully, she brought it to her lips. Her eyes widened as the heat hit her mouth, like she hadn't eaten warm food in a long, long time. Jace watched her in silence. Something about all this didn't feel right. Why was an alien girl wandering the wastelands alone in the middle of a snowstorm? And that collar, ... RYLK, finished the soup, her body finally starting to calm down. The shaking slowed. Her breathing evened out. Then suddenly, she slumped forward, fainting right there on the floor. JSC caught her again before she hit her head. He laid her gently on a sleeping mat near the heater, covering her with more blankets. He crouched next to her, watching her sleep now. Her face was peaceful. But she looked too thin, too damaged, and that collar glowed faint blue in the dark. Jace narrowed his eyes. Something told him this girl's story was much bigger than just a cold night and hunger. But for now, he stayed quiet. Outside, the storm roared. But inside, two strangers shared warmth, and neither of them knew how much their lives were about to change. Rilke didn't wake up until morning. The storm outside had slowed. The first gray light shone through the small windows of Jace's cabin. Jace was already awake, sitting across the room with his rifle beside him. But he wasn't looking outside. His eyes stayed on Rilke. On that collar, it glowed faintly again. Soft blue lines pulsing like a heartbeat. Who puts a collar like that on a living person? Suddenly, her eyes opened. Bright purple. Too sharp for someone just waking up. She sat up fast, as if ready to fight. Then froze, staring at Jace. "You're safe," Jace said calmly. "No one's here but me." Rilke didn't speak right away. She pulled the blanket tighter, hiding the collar again. But Jace had already seen it. "You didn't tell me last night," Jace said, voice steady. "What is that thing on your neck?" Rilke pressed her hand against it, like she could shut it off by touch. Her purple eyes flickered. For a second, blue mixed into them. That wasn't normal. Her eyes were changing. "You saw it," she whispered, voice tight. Jace nodded once. "It's not jewelry. And your eyes, they're not like normal alien eyes. Are you some kind of machine?" Rilke's claws dug into the blanket. Her face tightened, full of something like pain or shame. "I'm not a machine," she said quietly. "But not like others either." Jace didn't push harder. Instead, he stood and poured 2 cups of hot tea. He brought one to her, placing it in front of her on the floor. She hesitated, then picked it up, sniffing the steam. "I need to know," Jace said again, more serious now. "If you're in trouble, I can't help unless you tell me. Someone looking for you." Rilke sipped the tea slowly. Her claws tapped against the cup. Then, finally, she spoke. "There are hunters. I escaped from them." Jace narrowed his eyes. "What kind of hunters?" "Slavers." Rilke shook her head. "Worse." Her voice dropped lower, almost a whisper. "I was, property of the syndicate." That name hit Jace like a slap. The syndicate wasn't just criminals. They were the biggest black market empire across 5 planets. Weapons, illegal tech, and living weapons. You're one of theirs. Jace asked slowly, piecing things together. "They made you?" Rilke didn't answer, but she didn't have to. Her silence said everything, and then it happened again. Her eyes flickered once more, purple, turning blue. This time, Jace saw her skin glow faintly under the collar too. Rilke dropped her cup, grabbing her head. "Are you all right?" Jace moved. Fast, kneeling beside her, she breathed hard, claws gripping the floor. Her voice was pained. "The collar, it activates sometimes." "When I'm scared, what does it do?" Jace asked. "I don't know," she said, shaking. "Sometimes, I black out, and when I wake up, bad things have happened." That sent a cold chill down Jace's back. Whatever was inside her, whatever syndicate tech they'd used, wasn't just for tracking. It was controlling her. Before he could say more, there was a sharp beeping sound. Jace's head snapped up. His cabin's security system, motion alarm, someone, or something, was nearby. Rilke's eyes went wide. "Found me, Jace grabbed his rifle. His voice was cold now, serious. "Stay down. Don't move." He stepped to the window, peeking through. Out in the snow, he saw 3 black shapes moving slowly. Armored figures. Big rifles in their hands. Hunters, the syndicate was here. Rilke's hands shook as she whispered, "I should go. If I stay, you'll die too." But Jace didn't even look at her. His voice was low and calm. "Not letting you freeze again, kid." As he checked his ammo, his mind ran wild with questions. Why would the syndicate want her back so badly? What had they made her into? And could she control it? He didn't have answers. Not yet. But as the shadows outside came closer, he knew. One thing, he wasn't about to give her up. Not to them, not now. Snow blew against the cabin like knives in the wind. Jace stood near the window, rifle ready, his finger resting near the trigger. He had seen those Shapes 3 syndicate hunters, armored and dangerous. They weren't here for trade or talk. They had come for Rilke. Behind him, she sat on the floor, wrapped in blankets. But her body was shaking now, from cold, but from fear. Her purple eyes kept flashing blue, just like before. Jace had no time for guesses. If that collar really controlled her, if she blacked out during danger, he needed to know no before. "It happened, Rilke," he said sharply. "Listen to me. That thing around your neck, what does it really do? Tell me the truth." Her head was low, claws gripping the edge of her blanket. It turns me into a weapon. When my fear rises, too much, it activates. I can't stop it." Jace's jaw tightened. "What kind of weapon?" Her voice dropped to a whisper. "Energy discharge. My body becomes a living bomb." Outside, one of the hunters kicked the cabin door. Metal creaked under the hit. Jace didn't flinch. Voice stayed calm. "You didn't black out last night." "Why?" "I wasn't afraid enough," Rilke answered, her eyes full of shame. "But now, I can feel it starting." Another hit at the door. This time, a sharp voice followed. "Open. Up, we only want the girl. Step aside and live." Jace ignored it. He moved to Rilke's side, crouching down. His rifle slung over his shoulder now. He placed one hand gently on her trembling shoulder. "Look at me," Rilke lifted her head. Her eyes flashed purple-blue again. "You're not a weapon right now," Jace said firmly. "You're just a girl. And I'm not handing you over, understand?" She stared at him, claws tightening on her blanket. "Stay here. No matter what happens, don't move." Without waiting for her answer, Jace stood up again and walked to the door. He slid a metal panel aside and looked through the narrow window. Slit. One hunter stood just outside, two more moving to surround the cabin. They wore black syndicate armor, faces hidden behind full helmets. One of them carried a signal box, probably the thing tracking Rilke's collar. Jace's mind worked. Fast. If he shot one, the others would storm in. If Rilke's collar activated during that fight, they'd both be dead. But maybe there was another way. He reached over to the side shelf, pulling down an old toolbox. From it, he grabbed a signal. Jammer, the kind used to block drone signals. Fingers moving quick, he powered it up and pointed it at Rilke. Her collar flickered, then dimmed. The blue light slowed, her breathing calmed just a little. "It's working, She whispered. Eyes. Wide on. Another kick hit the door. Harder this time, Jace called out. "You're wasting your time." "She's not here." Silence followed. Then the hunter outside spoke again. "We don't need permission." With a loud crash, they opened fire not at Jace but at the wall itself. Plasma shots burned through the metal panels. Jace dropped too. The ground, pulling Rilke with him. "Stay low," he barked. The cabin's side wall glowed red as more shots hit. Heat filled the small room, but Jace wasn't running yet. He grabbed a small EMP grenade from the same toolbox. It was old, but it still worked. He pulled the pin and waited. 1, 2, He tossed it through the window slit. A bright blue flash lit up the snow outside. The hunter's armor sparked. One of them dropped his rifle. Electricity running across his suit. Jace didn't wait. He threw the cabin door open and fired 2 quick shots. One hunter fell backward into the snow. The other ducked behind a snow-covered rock. But Jace wasn't aiming to kill. He just needed to buy time. Back inside, Rilke stood now, clutching the edge of the heater. Her eyes no longer flashed. The jammer was still blocking the collar signal, but how long would it hold? Rilke, Jace shouted as he pulled back inside. We're leaving. Now she looked at him, confused. But where? Anywhere but here. He grabbed her hand, her claws cold and sharp against his glove and pulled her toward the cabin's back door. Before they could step out, a plasma shot hit the wall near them. Metal shrapnel flew. One piece hit Jace's arm. He grunted, pulling. Rilke close to shield her. Blood dripped down his sleeve, but he didn't stop moving. Through the back door, they ran into the snowstorm behind them. The cabin burned. Rilke looked back once, eyes wide with fear. Why? She asked breathlessly. Why help me? Jace's voice was low, steady even in pain, because I've seen too many people used like tools. You're not a weapon. Not to me. And together, they vanished into the white storm to fugitives, human and alien, running from something much bigger than both of them. The collar still glowed faint under her blanket, and far behind them. More syndicate ships were on the way. The storm had no mercy that night. Snow blew in hard waves, sharp like glass pieces falling from the sky. Jace and Rilke kept moving through it, side by side. His arm was bleeding, but he didn't stop. His rifle was slung on his back, now no use in heavy snow like this. Rilke's thin boots slipped in the snow. Her alien skin turned pale silver, almost blending into the frozen world around her. She was breathing hard, each step slower than the last. Jace noticed. Don't stop, kid, he said, voice steady. We keep moving, or they'll catch us. Behind them, in the white distance, Jace could hear faint engine hums. Syndicate drones, searching, scanning. The hunters weren't done yet. Suddenly, Rilke stumbled. She dropped to her knees in the snow, clutching her collar. Her eyes glowed again purple, flickering to blue dot. Double quotes, no, ... She gasped, claws digging into the ice. Jace knelt beside her, grabbed her shoulders. Stay with me. Focus. You're not going to black out. Not now. I can't. It's starting again. Her body shook all over. Blue energy crackled, faintly around her collar. Jace gritted his teeth. If she lost control now, her living weapon ability might go off and take them both with it. He needed to think fast. His eyes spotted a half-buried cave entrance nearby, hidden under snow-covered rocks. It wasn't much, but it could block the drone scans. Jace pulled Rilke up, ignoring the pain in his own arm. Come on, just a little more. Together, they stumbled toward the cave. Inside, it was dark. The air smelled cold and stale. But at least there was no wind. Jace laid Rilke down against the stone wall, quickly pulling off his jacket and wrapping it around her. Her skin was still glowing, but the flickering slowed. I need to shut that collar down, Jace said, pulling out a small toolkit from his belt pouch. He knelt beside her. Flashlight in his teeth, studying the collar closely now. Thin metal, hidden circuits, and no obvious power switch. Can you hold still? He asked her. Rilke's breath came in short, sharp gasps. If ... if you take it off wrong, it explodes. Jace didn't blink. That's good to know. But his hands didn't shake. Slowly, he slid the jammer device he used earlier closer to the collar again. The lights on it flickered weakly low battery. Hold on, Jace muttered with careful fingers. He opened a panel on the collar, using a small blade. Wires, blue lights, symbols in a language he didn't fully recognize. The drones hummed past. Outside, he could hear them faintly. Rilke's voice came out in a whisper. Why? ... Why help me? Jace didn't look up. Told you. You're not a weapon to me. You're just a kid trying to survive. Her eyes watched him, now half purple, half blue, glowing faint in the dark. Most people wouldn't care. They'd hand her over 4 syndicate credits. But Jace wasn't most people. He had once been a soldier. He'd seen what happened when good people did nothing. That wasn't going to be him again. With slow, careful work, Jace found a main power wire inside. The collar? This is it, ... he whispered. His hands hovered for a moment. One wrong cut, ... But then he moved. Snip, the blue light on the collar died. For a full 10 seconds, there was only silence. Then Rilke took a deep breath, and the glow in her eyes faded back to pure purple. It worked, ... She whispered, ... Jace leaned back, wiping sweat from his forehead despite the cold. We're not safe yet, he said. But at least that thing isn't controlling you now. Outside, one of the drones buzzed closer to the cave entrance. Its light beam flickered across the rocks. Jace grabbed his rifle quietly, moving to the cave mouth. He waited. The drone passed, then moved on. They weren't found. Not yet back inside, Rilke tried standing on her own. Her knees shook, but she managed. I can feel it, ... double quotes, she said softly. For the first time, ... it's quiet. Jace watched her arms cross now. Quiet. The noise in my head, she explained. It's gone. For a moment, there was peace. Just the sound of wind outside and their shared silence. Then Rilke looked at him again. You, ... risked your life for me. Jace shrugged lightly. Someone's gotta. And outside, far above them in the snowy sky, syndicate ships circled. The hunt wasn't over. But now, Rilke wasn't just some living weapon. She was free, and with Jace beside her, she wasn't alone anymore. The snow stopped falling, but the danger wasn't over. Jace and Rilke rested inside the cave for a short while. Her collar no longer glowed. The control signal was gone. But Jace knew it wouldn't take long before the syndicate realized they had lost control. They'll search every inch of this sector, Jace said, checking his rifle one more time. Rilke sat quietly against the wall, her hands resting on her knees. Her purple eyes were calm now, not flashing blue anymore. I don't want to run anymore, she said suddenly. Jace looked at her. What do you mean? I'll never stop. Even if we leave this planet, ... Even if we hide, I'll always be hunted. Jace stayed silent. He couldn't argue with that. Rilke slowly stood up. Her legs were steadier now, stronger. I want to destroy them, she said, voice firm this time. The syndicate. The lab where I was made. Jace narrowed his eyes. That's suicide. Rilke's purple eyes didn't waver. Maybe. But if I run, I'll just be a scared girl forever. Jace thought for a long moment. His hand rested on the rifle. Memories from his old life came back, fighting battles, losing friends, protecting people who couldn't protect themselves. Then he nodded. All right, he said. If we're doing this ... we do it smart. Rilke's claws tightened into fists. Hours later, the two of them moved through the frozen woods near the old mining road. The syndicate facility wasn't fair and old research station hidden inside a mountain. Jace had been there once, years ago. Back then, it was just rumors. Illegal weapons, secret experiments. Now, he knew the truth. As they walked, Rilke's senses seemed sharper. Her head would turn every time a drone flew too close. Her alien Ears picked up sounds even Jace couldn't hear. But she wasn't afraid anymore. When they reached the ridge overlooking the facility, Jace set up his old binoculars. "Still there?" he muttered. The building was big. Black metal walls, glowing red lights along the top, guard towers, drones flying lazy circles in the sky. "Do you remember anything about it?" Jace asked Rilke. She shook her head slowly. "Only ... pain and lights." Jace didn't press further. Instead, he pointed to a power unit near the rear. "If we cut power there, the shields drop. That's our way in." Rilke studied the building quietly, eyes glowing faintly again, but this time from focus. "We don't have enough firepower," she said softly, "even if we break in." Jace's mouth twitched into half a grin. "We don't need to blow up the whole place, just the control systems. The files they have on you, the tech that made you. We burn it all." Rilke nodded once. "Let's do it." Night fell again. Moving like shadows, Jace and Rilke crept down the mountain path toward the facility's rear wall. Jace carried EMP charges in his pack. Rilke walked just behind him, steps silent. When they reached the power unit, Jace set the first charge. His fingers worked fast. Then, ... sound ... boot. Steps, syndicate guards. 3 of them, coming around the corner. Before Jace could pull his rifle, Rilke moved. She stepped forward, claws flashing in the dark. In one smooth motion, she knocked the first guard's weapon aside, slashing across his armor. Sparks flew. The second guard raised his blaster, but Rilke kicked it from his hands. Her strength was unnatural faster, sharper than any normal person. Jace could only watch for a moment, surprised, when the third guard tried to run. Rilke grabbed him by the collar and threw him against the wall. Hard. It was quiet again. The guards lay on the ground, groaning, but alive. "I didn't kill them," Rilke said, her voice steady. "I didn't want to." Jace looked at her for a long second. "You're in control now," he said. Rilke's claws lowered. Her eyes flickered. Purple.com once more. The EMP charge exploded seconds later. Lights across the facility shut down. Sirens blared. Jace and Rilke ran toward the opening bay door. Inside, the halls were cold metal. Lab rooms, cages, tech stations. Jace threw another EMP grenade down one hall. Rilke's eyes darted from door to door. She seemed to remember this place. Her breathing quickened. When they reached the main server room, Jace set his last charge. "This is it," he said. "Say goodbye." Rilke stepped up beside him. Her claws touched the server panel one last time, and then boom. The servers exploded in a burst of flame and smoke. Outside, as syndicate reinforcements landed, Jace and Rilke disappeared into the night again. But this time, ... RYLK wasn't running away. She had destroyed the place where she was made. Now, she was free for real. And the syndicate had made a new enemy. Her name was Precious. Her name was Precious. Her name was Rilke, and she wasn't anyone's weapon anymore. The cold mountain winds hit hard as Jace and Rilke moved away from the burning facility. Smoke rose behind them, black against the star-filled sky. The syndicate's power was not completely destroyed, but their control over Rilke was. For a while, there was silence between them, only the sound of crunching snow under their boots. Finally, Rilke spoke. "You don't have to stay with me." Now, Jace glanced at her, voice steady. "You really believe I'd just walk away?" Rilke didn't answer right away. Her purple eyes stared at the sky instead, lost in thought. Her collar was still around her neck, but lifeless now. The glow was gone. "I was made to be useful to them," she said slowly. "Not to live my own life. I don't even know who I am if I'm not running or hiding." Jace stopped walking. He faced her now. Then it's time to figure that out. Rilke lowered her head, but I don't know how. I don't know what I want. I only knew how to survive. Eat, sleep, hide. Jace crossed his arms, voice calm but firm. You have a choice now. That's more than most people get. Rilke's claws opened and closed slowly as she thought about his words. Suddenly, a sharp electronic beep broke the silence. Jace's hand moved toward his belt, but it wasn't a tracker or a drone alarm. It came from Rilke, her collar. The dead collar, it flickered faintly. A new signal. Rilke froze. Her eyes widened in shock. Jace stepped closer. What's wrong? It's not the syndicate, Rilke whispered, voice shaking. Something else. The collar's surface opened on its own. A small, hidden compartment. Inside was a glowing crystal, pulsing faint green. Jace had seen tech like this only once before in military archives. Alien origin, ancient. This isn't syndicate tech, Jace said, frowning. This is older. Rilke touched the crystal with shaking fingers. Her face turned pale, as if memories were surfacing. I wasn't just a weapon, she whispered. I was made using something ancient, something buried long before humans came here. Jace watched her carefully. You remember now, Rilke nodded slowly. My body, my abilities. They weren't just science. They mixed me with something else. She looked up at Jace, her eyes glowing bright now, not purple or blue, but pure white. I'm part of something bigger, she said softly. That's why they never let me see my own files. They were hiding it even from themselves. Jaw tightened. What kind of bigger? Rilke stepped back, her claws curling tight into fists. Energy crackled faintly around her hands. Energy from an ancient source. Not syndicate, not human. Jace realized something else. That means, even after destroying the facility, they'll never stop hunting you. If they know what you really are, Rilke nodded. I'm not just valuable. I'm dangerous too. Them. For a long moment, they both stood quiet, the cold wind brushing past. Then Rilke asked, her voice steady now. What would you do if you were me? Jace looked her in the eyes. No lie. No fake words. I'd stop running. I'd make sure the whole galaxy knows the truth. Her white glowing eyes flickered softer at that. You mean? Show everyone who I really am. Jace shrugged lightly. Not as a weapon, as a person. Your choice. For the first time, Rilke smiled. It was a small thing, almost invisible, but real. Then we'll do it together, she said. If that's all right. Jace gave her a half smile in return. Yeah, it's all right. Suddenly, overhead, bright flash lit the sky. A new syndicate ship appeared different from before. Bigger, heavier guns. Jace pulled Rilke behind a snow-covered rock. Rifle raised. We've got company. Rilke crouched beside him, no fear. In her voice now, only focus. They must have tracked the signal again, she said quietly. Jace narrowed his eyes. Looks like we're not done fighting yet. But this time, Rilke wasn't shaking. She stood tall beside him. Energy building around her fingertips, not from fear, but from control. Let them come, Rilke said calmly, Date. And as the ship lowered toward the mountain, bright lights sweeping the snow, Jace realized something. Rilke wasn't just a runaway girl anymore. She wasn't property. She wasn't a weapon. She was someone the galaxy would remember. And she was ready to fight. For her future. Asterisk. The Syndicate warship hovered above the frozen mountain, its searchlights cutting through the snow like knives. Engines roared loud enough to shake the ground. Jace crouched behind a frozen boulder, rifle ready. Beside him, Rilke stood calm. Her glowing white eyes locked on the ship. She wasn't afraid now. Her claws pulsed with quiet, energy-controlled, not wild. For the first time, she wasn't thinking about running. She was thinking about ending it. They'll drop ground teams soon. Jace said quietly, "We don't have the firepower to take down that ship. We need a plan." Rilke didn't look away from the sky. "I have one," she said calmly. "You helped me. Now I help you." Jace frowned. "What are you thinking?" Rilke turned toward him. Her voice was steady, her face calm. "I can feel the power inside me now. Not fear, not control. It's mine." Before Jace could answer, the first Syndicate dropship lowered to the ground below them. Troops jumped out, armored figures carrying energy rifles. A voice echoed from the warship above, through loudspeakers. "Give up the asset. The human may leave unharmed." Jace's grip tightened on his rifle. "I hate when they say that." Aroka placed a hand on his shoulder gently. "This is my fight now." He looked into her glowing eyes. Gosh, there was no weakness in them anymore. "You sure about this?" he asked her. Rilke nodded once, and then she stepped out from behind the boulder. The Syndicate soldiers below saw her instantly. Their weapons rose, but Rilke didn't stop walking. Her silver skin shimmered. The old collar around her neck glowed. Again, but not from outside control. It glowed with her power now. Jace stayed back, rifle ready if needed. But something told him she wouldn't need it. Suddenly, white energy burst out from Rilke's body. A slow wave at first, then growing. Stronger. The snow around her lifted into the air, caught in the rising force. The Syndicate soldiers fired. Bright shots of plasma streaked toward her, but they didn't hit. The energy around Rilke formed a glowing shield, pure white light stopping every blast like raindrops against glass. Jace watched, stunned. She wasn't blacking out. She wasn't losing control. She was in full command. Rilke raised her hand slowly. Her claws pointed toward the warship. The ground under her feet cracked, and then a beam of pure white light shot from her. Hitting the warship's shields, the Syndicate ship trembled. Lights flickered across its surface. Engines roared louder as pilots struggled to stay steady. But Rilke didn't stop. With each breath she took, the beam grew brighter, hotter. The Syndicate soldiers on the ground dropped their weapons and ran. Some fell to their knees, stunned by the force. Jace stepped closer now, eyes wide. He'd seen many battles in his life, but nothing like this. This wasn't a weapon made in a lab. This was something greater, and Rilke was the center of KO. And Rilke was the center of Kwa. Neo Kwa was the center of Kwa Neo. Meo Kwa, Meo Kwa, Meo Kwa, Meo Kwa. Where sis steps, place grove. Meo Kwa Kwa, W Kwa, Meo Kwa, Cap. We live, I was the side God. Go I lead a pled. I so I get so it's a society but to so little I you could to be used to be see reasonable to make bites with the well to that get read the guide as the I work I'm the first the pepper and just I said the stiff I said with the bull set with a pen the secret it finally, with one last wave of her hand, Rilke let the energy burst outward. The warship's shields shattered like glass. Metal tore apart in midair. Explosions lit the sky. The ship broke apart, falling in burning pieces into the mountains below. Silence followed. Only the soft sound of snow falling again. Jace lowered his rifle slowly. Rilke stood in the middle of the now glowing snowfield. Her eyes slowly faded from white back to purple. Her body relaxed. When she turned back to Jace, she looked peaceful. He walked toward her, boots crunching on glowing snow. You all right? He asked simply. Rilke nodded once. I'm free now. Jace let out a breath he didn't know he was holding. Together. They stood in the middle of the frozen mountain as the last syndicate ship pieces fell from the sky. There were no more hunters, no more callers, no more running. Later that night, inside a small, warm cabin far from the mountain, Jace sat by the heater, fixing his rifle. Rilke sat nearby, watching him quietly. For a while, neither of them spoke. Finally, Rilke asked, "What happens now?" Jace glanced up at her. "Now," he said with a half-smile, "we live." Rilke tilted her head. "Live." Jace nodded. "Not hiding, not fighting, just ... figuring things out. Like normal people." Rilke smiled softly. "For a meal, I promised to warm your bed," she said quietly, voice almost teasing. "But you gave me more than food." Jace chuckled lightly. "I gave you a chance." Rilke's purple eyes glowed softly in the heater's light. "And you gave me freedom," she said. Together. They sat in peace, for the first time in both their lives. It wasn't just about survival anymore. It was about living.